This is the last and final video that I'm making on Adolescence, this new show on Netflix. I've already made part one and part two. So if you want, you can go and check it out. In this video, I'm going to talk about the role of the women in the series Adolescence and how men do the bare minimum, and we want to be applauded and celebrated for doing just the bare minimum. So let's dive into it, okay? In episode 3, Jamie is talking to the psychologist and telling her that he was alone with Katie, the girl who he murdered, and says that he could have done anything to her. You know, he had the knife, she was scared, he could have done inappropriate things to her. Other boys would have, but he did not. Doesn't that make him a better human being? And something similar is shown in episode 4 as well, when the father is talking about his father. Eddie says that his father used to beat him up, used to whack him, and he made sure that he would never beat his kids. Doesn't that make him a better father? And while I was watching both the episodes, it just occurred to me that how men do the bare minimum and they want to be celebrated for that. They think that they are better human beings. They are showing positive masculinity by doing just the bare minimum. In fact, Jamie and Eddie are not even doing the bare minimum. If this is the basic, if this is level zero, and violence and abuse is, of course, negative, the lack of violence and the lack of abuse by men doesn't make them positive. It brings them to level zero, to the basic, and there's nothing to be celebrated there. Both Jamie and Eddie, if they're saying that they did not abuse the women around them or their kids, it's the basic. To see women as just human beings and not harm them is the basic, and there should be no celebration in that. In fact, it happens with all of us, including myself. You know, I remember when I started cooking 8, 10 years ago, every time I cooked, I wanted like my mother to notice and validate that. Except cooking is a life skill, and it's my house and I should be cooking, and I shouldn't be really applauded for doing just the bare minimum, which I thought was very, very interesting. That brings me to the women in the house. When I started watching episode 4, I was I was happy that they were not taking the obvious route that this is a violent, abusive father, and Jamie internalized that, and he had that example in the house, and that's the reason he turned out the way he did. They show a very loving father, but he was so problematic that he kept on triggering me. In fact, I was like, okay, there is a problem in the family. This tragedy has struck the family. There's a van that is vandalized, and he's getting all triggered, and he doesn't know how to handle that pressure, and he's exploding about the house, and he's parading the wife and the daughter and asking them to do exactly what he wants to do. He wants to go to the store, get the paint, da da da. He's creating more tension. He's adding more tension in the family. And I did not notice this, but my friend Neelu pointed it out. And she was like, when the pressure is built, the men cave in. It's the women who are handling the pressure and handling the men as well. And I was like, this makes so much sense. And she was like, the mother and the daughter are the calmer ones. They're handling the tragedy, they're handling their own emotions, and they're also handling the emotions of the men in the family. They're almost like mollycoddling the father. It's only in the second half of episode 4 where the father finally asks the daughter how she dealing with the grief, and if there is more abuse at school and if the boys are troubling her, and she says she's Jamie's sister. It happens on a daily basis. She, in fact, has shown more maturity and more dignity in handling pain and pressure than the father. And I guess that is the point of the show, right? To be able to deal with our emotions in a better way. When the women are doing it, they are the ones who are handling everything emotionally, and the men are just crumbling under pressure. And I guess all the 4 episodes were kind of heading towards this beautiful climax where Eddie goes to Jamie's room and just breaks down, right? And it's such a befitting ending as well, because it starts from Jamie's room where this toxic boy was bred, and then it ends in his room on his bed. And the fact that Eddie cries towards the end, that is such a beautiful ending. I mean, he should have cried much before. He wouldn't have really faced all these problems. But the fact is that this whole narrative of masculinity saying, oh, we don't care and we need to toughen up and we need to man up and men don't show emotions and all that, that is the part of the problem set by patriarchy. The moment you submit to grief and you break down and you show vulnerability, you come back much better and much stronger. And I guess the whole touch of the teddy bear towards the end of the show, that was also a symbol of softness, that being soft and being vulnerable doesn't really make you less of a man. In fact, that is the true sign of masculinity, to be able to deal with your emotions softly and strongly. I love the fact that Eddie towards the end says, I should have done better. He really should have. I don't know. There's just so much for me to talk about this particular show. Even the way the psychologist is manhandled by the security guard, I mean, that completely made me so uncomfortable. The way came and stood so close to her, the way he's asking all kinds of personal questions about her salary and all that. I mean, this happens with women all the time, right? I mean, uh, when we men are doing the small talk, or doing all these conversations with the women, they're constantly thinking and deliberating whether this man is being genuinely friendly, or is there some motive behind these conversations. They're always on tender hooks. And I mean, it's so amazing that the show is talking about all this really amazing themes of toxic masculinity and incel culture. But with all of that, they are implanting all these small little things in the show that makes it such a wonderful watch. If you haven't really watched Adolescence on Netflix yet, please do yourself a favor, watch it with family and friends, with kids, and have conversations and try to understand the real meaning of the show. If you liked all these videos, please follow me and give it a thumbs up.